You didn't think I forgot, did you? I hope you didn't think I forgot. No, I didn't. This is the other weekend report. Now, there is, if you read the fine print in the weekend report, it specifically says I don't have to shave or wear a sport coat. That it's right there. You got to read the fine print. It's just like with Google and stuff. They all have that crazy stuff you got to look out for. And I'm actually working on the yard today, but if you're a subscriber, you get 7 days a week content. Now, a couple stories you may or may not hear tomorrow. One in particular will be manipulated. So we're just going to hit the three of them quickly because I know you want to get back to your weekends. And we have a big show tomorrow, huge show on Monday on the Ken Matthews Report on Subscribestar, subscribestar.com. Credit card debt jumps the most in 20 years as inflation soars. Now, we're getting such mixed signals on this. We're getting it from the president. We're getting it from some of the puppets in the news, which truly make fools of themselves. Whether you're there from the New York Times or the Washington Post or MSNBC or NPR, I don't know what crack you're smoking, and I'm just using that figuratively. I'm not saying you're actually like Hunter Biden and smoking the crack, okay? But I'm just saying that you're making a fool out of yourself with all your degrees and your credentials and going on major news platforms and saying this is an incredible comeback, the economy is strong, Biden's doing a great job, because there's nothing that indicates that. There are no indicators of that. None. None. Even if you take what his very historic press secretary says over and over, things are going good, we've done this, we've done that. This shows you what a bubble these people live in. You've got all these bubble people. People in the government live in a bubble. They're not in touch with us. They don't care. Then you've got people in news media that are like this with people in government. That's not too graphic, is it? It's kind of like this isn't anything graphic that I'm doing here. This just means they're all mixed together. The government, the narrative, and the news media. They're all pushing this garbage out. That things are going great. Thank goodness Biden's in control. Everybody's safer. Everybody's making more money. We've got more food. Things are affordable. What are you smoking? Truly, where are you getting this? Do you live in a different country than I live in? Or do you live on a different planet? Where are you where you look in any direction with this government, any direction, domestic, commerce and industry, infrastructure, foreign relations, schools, COVID, just pick a direction. Is there anything? I don't like to be a Debbie Downer because I identify as a biological male. So I would be like a David Downer, to use the alliteration there. Or a Denny Downer. Or a Donald Downer. I don't like to be a downer. But it is getting ridiculous. I understand the concept of staying positive and, we don't want to dump a bunch of bad news on people because, why? You don't want to tell people the truth. When the government says to you, we need to remain positive. Okay, remain positive. It's funny because President Donald Trump, he couldn't even get away with remaining positive. He was the most upbeat, positive, at times inspirational, and he would inspire calm in the middle of the storm. Now, not to liberals, because most liberals are, they're freaking out. But in the middle of the chaos, I don't know about you, but I felt a lot better with President Trump sitting in the Oval Office near the phone and all the buttons and the switches than Joe Biden or Barack Obama. And they're both in the White House now, as you know. So I'll hit on a couple things that kind of go to that. And then we have one huge story that is so frightening and disgusting, but it happens every day. and not everybody, but a lot of people are in denial about it, and it's a big problem. It's the way we deny fentanyl, the biggest killer of people. What is it, 20 to 45, or is it 18 to 45? I forget. It's the biggest killer of, quote, young adults at this point in time in the United States. Nope, it's not COVID. It's not white nationalist. It's not truth seekers online. Nope. It's not even drunk husbands or wives of people in government. It's fentanyl. That's the biggest killer. So, the story I'm about to share with you coming up after this is as big as or bigger than fentanyl, and will explain why people don't want to cover it. So this credit card thing, I want to go back to that. American households increasingly rely on their credit cards this spring as prices rose. So we had inflation, the fastest rate in 40 years. And now we also have a collective credit card balance, because it takes a village, $46 billion in the second quarter of this year. Okay? I mean, I couldn't even afford to buy a razor to shave. That's how. I'm not making light of people that can't afford a razor. I told you, I'm in and out doing yard work. I changed my shirt. It's just a beautiful day, and I want to get the yard work done. I don't like doing yard work during the week. Isn't that weird? I probably should, because it would free up my weekends. But since I do reports 7 days a week, every day is like a weekend for me. It really is, especially under Biden. $46 billion collective credit card debt in the U.S. second quarter of this year compared with a year ago. Balances are up 13%. Now, this is the largest increase in more than 2 decades. And don't you get tired of hearing that about Joe Biden? The biggest inflation, the worst numbers on the right track, wrong track, the largest increase of this, the highest increase in murders in this blue state, the highest increase of rapes in this blue city. Don't you get tired? I guess not, because if you listen to NPR, you get a different story, as you know. Or if you listen to MSNBC. Now, last week, and I didn't have time to get to it, but I made note of it. I make a lot of notes. And I made note of it because I said, I got to talk about this sometime. Because it's crazy. It's crazy town, all right? Last week on MSNBC, Jonathan, is it Lemire or Lemire? I forget. And I really don't care. Never heard of him, but he is on MSNBC, and we've all heard of MSNBC. MSN can't see, okay? So Jonathan L. Lemire had the Axios co-founder Mike Allen on, and he is a legend, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, he is a legend. Like, I can barely even say his name without trembling. He was with the New York Times and the Washington Post. Holy moly, he's a heavy hitter. And he was just talking about how Biden is such a success story. And he was saying Biden's success story on the economy is just, it's really incredible. He talked about Biden's winning streak on legislation. He said Biden is rewiring the economy. Is this the new normal now for the idiots in mainstream media? When the economy sucks, crime is up, our enemies are laughing at us. Is that what you do? Well, we're just rewiring some things. Things were going real well, and we're just Well, you better get an electrician, because your wiring is horrific, and people are going to be shocked by it. See, I'm staying with the electricity theme. Oh, did you see the meme I put up on subscribestar.com? That lightning storm last week? Somebody did a great meme, and I put the person's name up there who did it. I forget who it was. But it's all this lightning and stuff. And then lightning comes in through the White House, and Biden's standing at a podium, and it just blows him up. And there's all this smoke and fire, and then Trump comes out dancing. You know how if you've ever been to a Trump rally, Donald Trump uh, dances to the village people. He does like a YMCA thing. He goes like this, Y, and he's actually got some moves for, you know, a white man. You should check that out. Check that meme out. So these two knuckleheads are talking about how great Biden is doing with the economy, and he's got, the legislature is on a winning streak with his policies. And again, here's what I think is happening, and I could be wrong. Do you think that Hunter Biden, who now probably visits the White House regularly because he is would he be considered the first son, I guess, at this point, right? Okay, Hunter Biden. Do you think he's leaving crack around and some of these people are getting a hold of it and smoking it? I just wonder where they get their information. This is what the legend, former New York Times and Washington Post reporter, had to say, Mike Allen. So we just saw the new investments in chip making in the United States. Early, big investments in the U.S. capacity to make vaccines. Get ready for the next threat, of course, the infrastructure bill. Look out, everybody. And the interesting twist to this, Jonathan, he was talking to Jonathan, who's the host on MSNBC, who's got wind blowing through his ears, too, coming. Okay. And the interesting twist to this is, Jonathan, is that there is an American first populist streak to this. Wow, that's creative. Let me get this right. Joe Biden has created an American first populist streak with his economic policy. Not only is he innovative, but he's a genius. That is more oil drilling here, more vaccines, with a possible victory coming up, more clean energy, and possibly the biggest in history. And then they both broke down in tears and hugged each other, and they cut to black. It was just too emotional. No, they didn't do that. Delusion. Get ready. There's more coming. There are all kinds of rumors going around that some big event is going to happen in New York in a week. I don't want to go beyond that. I'm trying to find some more information on it. But it doesn't surprise me because things are going very poorly in New York with the illegal immigrants showing up legally now. They're being relocated there, and with some illegal foreign nationals allowed to vote, and the economy in the toilet, and new business starts in the toilet, and monkeypox now. Things are not going well in New York, so it wouldn't surprise me if something happened to take our attention away from how bad the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York are sucking wind at what they do. So that's coming. And now, I don't like to leave on something so dark, but this, for people that follow the show, knows this stuff drives me crazy. I am so disgusted by the leadership of law enforcement. I know there's men and women in law enforcement that are doing the right thing, but unfortunately there are people above them that are doing the wrong thing, and above them there are politicians doing the wrong thing, and sometimes politicians doing the criminal thing. And before I forget, I want to mention one more thing about Alex Jones, and I know that triggered some people a couple days ago, because if you only know what the media says about Alex Jones, you may still be in shock. You should try out his new book. It's supposed to get to my house tomorrow. Fingers crossed. I ordered it. It's a great read. This is according to Steve Bannon. And I think Steve Bannon is a smart guy. And if he says this is a good read, it's a good read. So I'm going to check it out. I'm going to read it and decide for myself. Or you can just do, a lot of liberals, they don't like to read things that don't totally reinforce their own view. So they'll just look at, a Trump book or whatever, a DeSantis book or a Star Parker book. She's another brilliant person to check out, Star Parker. They'll just see what NPR says. Well, let me see what the Google whoops, the Google book review says. All right. But the thing I wanted to say about Alex is he was on the stand. I don't know if you saw this earlier this week. This is before he got whacked with the $50 million total thing that he has to pay to some of the victims of Sandy Hook, okay, in that lawsuit. He was on the stand, and one of the prosecutors said, Mr. Jones, isn't it true that you have mentioned on more than one occasion that in some cases the government is covering up for human trafficking? You may have seen that soundbite. In fact, I put it on my social media socials, and it's also on Subscribestar. And Alex Jones looks him right in the eye and says, "Do you mean like what the Clintons did with Jeffrey Epstein?" And it was a wonderful moment, and you're probably just hearing about it now for the first time. Why wouldn't NBC News cover that? Because they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to. And besides, who wants to get that? I mean, COVID is one thing. Monkeypox is one thing. But, you know, Clintonitis, that'll kill you. That will kill you. There is no vaccine for Clintonitis. If you get on that Clinton death list. So who wants to go after the Clintons in mainstream media? No matter how much money you're making. Besides, then you don't get invited to the Hamptons or their place in California. So, kind of on that same theme, which is this disgusting, filthy theme, I'd like to introduce you to these guys. Hold on, because I have three different stories. It's three different sources. I pulled information from the story from WSB TV in Atlanta, the Western Journal, and Jack Davis, who's a great journalist. Jack Davis, check him out at the Western Journal. And also it almost looks like a local kind of patchy thing. You know the patch? This is the Long Island, New York. Wait a second. What's it called? Is it the Long Island something? And so I pulled something really local and a few other things to share this story with you, which really drives home what a hellhole wokeness has given us. Wokeness and progressive politics have turned parts of America into a hellhole. And then when law-abiding citizens and common sense people, when we call attention to this hellhole, we have to walk on eggs with how we talk about it. Just so you know, I'm not one of those people. So that has to walk. I don't walk on eggs for anybody. All right, this is a lovely married couple. Just so you know, just showing you these two guys. Okay. Dale Zulak and Zachary Zulak. They are a married couple, my two dads, and they had adopted some children. And what they were doing is raping the children they adopted, the little children, the most precious thing in the entire world, raping them on video, and then selling the videos. Yeah. Here's how the WSB TV put the headline. Metro Atlanta couple charged with using adopted kids to make child porn. I did notice that it really stuck out to me that there's no photo in here of the couple, which I found interesting. And I'm going to go out on the limb and saying that that's how woke we've become. Because I will say this, I know damn well that if that couple was a man and a woman, it would be right there. So this is what's so this is why you got to be very careful. But that's why I went to so many different sources, because I didn't want to accuse this same-sex married couple of adopting children in order that they had young children to rape on camera and sell to other people. But that's what they were doing because the police found it. See, they arrested this one guy in a suburb of Atlanta. This was last month, the Walton County Sheriff's Department in Georgia. And they were interviewing him, and he was charged with downloading what these guys were producing. Now, I have to be so careful right now because we live in such a political correct world. The suspect told deputies that another suspect that they knew of locally, right around the corner, was making child porn with at least one child that he lived with. Turned out to be his adopted child. The two men lived there as husband and husband. And then they were able to take turns raping the children and then selling the video. So maybe we can get Ellen. You think can we get Ellen to have these guys on to talk about it? I mean, I'm not saying that they should be freed. I mean, they could be in cuffs, but because this happens every day across America, day in and day out, and it's not just married couples like Dale and Zachary. It's anybody that can play the system. And you do know that Child Protective Services, or in some cases it's called Child Health Services, it's called something else in England, it's called something else in Australia, they call it something different in South America, or maybe in your state, in the US, but that is the biggest source to find children to traffic. Because why are they there? Because they have no one to guard them, their guardians. They have no one to love them or protect them. So they're put into a system that is broken and corrupted because of this. This means money. So everybody's going to say, well, how could this happen? How could how can this lovely couple, this upstanding couple, roll in Georgia and adopt children and then rape them on camera for profit? I don't know. You'll have to ask them. But here's what I'm thinking. And often, I don't say, sometimes I say what I'm thinking. So I'm going to say that now. You've got the videos that the deputies found. And then the investigators went to that home where the one purchaser, the one scumbag pervert said, well, there's this place, there's this guy, there's these guys that are, and they downloaded. So they went there and they found the video evidence. Oh, I stand corrected. Now it says the adopted fathers were a pair of brothers living there. Okay. So it's not one source said there was one source and then I guess they're wrong. So you've got two brothers. So we don't know who they're married to yet. This is what WSB TV says. After making sure children were safe, investigators found the evidence that the couple, why did they keep calling them a couple? who were the adopted fathers of a pair of brothers. Oh, okay. My mistake. See how confusing it is with the genders and stuff? So, these two men that were married, and I'm sorry about the confusion. I've got 3 stories in front of me, and I'm trying to. And when this goes, when this goes through the newsroom, the editor and the news director, they're like, okay, we got to be real careful. Let's not make a big deal that these 2 guys are gay and they're married and they adopted 2 little boys. Let's not make a big deal about that, because you're not allowed to, because it's politically incorrect. Anyway, so that's where I got confused. A pair of brothers. Okay. They adopted a pair of brothers. They were not a pair of brothers. So they were actually 2 married men who adopted 2 brothers, young boys, living there. And then, this is from the words of the sheriff's department, they were raping the 2 boys that they adopted and recording it. All right, so. And they're being held in the Walton County Jail on charges of aggravated child molestation, sexual exploitation of a child, and enticing a child for indecent purposes. Deputies say the investigation is ongoing, but the boys are safe now. First of all, those boys will never be safe. Their lives are destroyed. Their lives are destroyed. So here's my take. Excuse me, because I gotta get back out in the yard, and really, the more I page through this story, I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. But what I would like to see is, since you already have the video evidence, here's what I'd like you to do down in Walton County. And I know parts of Georgia are very woke, and some of you are extremely corrupt. That's why you stole the election there. But what I'd like you to do is rush the DNA on that, okay? Is there any way possible we can get the DNA by, say, Tuesday morning, give them a speedy trial, because all defendants constitutionally, they have a right to a speedy trial. So Tuesday morning, we confirm the videos with DNA. We have the trial Thursday morning, and Friday, before the end of business, we execute both of these men. What do you say? I mean, wouldn't that be great if the system worked that efficiently? It would be wonderful. But we already have the 2 gay adoptive parents raping their children, their adopted children, on video, selling it to other people, get the DNA, close the case, kill them before the end of the week. I'm talking about following the law. Is there the death penalty in Atlanta, or is that now, do the woke people not want the death penalty? What a deterrent that would be. Think about it just for a moment. Hey, did you hear about those 2 guys that they adopted those kids and they were raping them? Yeah. Well, the judge sentenced them. They were shot in the head Friday afternoon. Yeah. On video. What a deterrent that would be. But again, I'm just thinking that. I wouldn't say it. But I'd love to see the coverage this is going to get. Maybe you think it'll be on the Today Show? I can see it now. Gayle King. She's on CBS, right? Who's the biggest butt kisser of Biden? CBS, right? Yeah, that's... Can you see the headline now? 2 men married to each other adopted 2 boys that were brothers and then repeatedly raped them on camera and then sold the video. I don't think that's going to make it. I think it's going to be, white supremacists are dangerous, everyone. and those MAGA people are driving me crazy. We'll be back with a look at the latest cake recipe from our morning chef. That's the crap you'll get. Not on this show. Anyway, try to stay positive even after that story. Thank you for subscribing. Subscribestar.com. Subscribestar.com. Tell your friends. You can get Ken for 10. And if you could do this, this would be great. Subscribe and tell 5. Subscribe and tell 5 of your friends. Here is a goal. People have asked me about, do you have a goal? Do you have a target? I'd like to get 100 subscribers, hold on a minute, in every state of America. Wouldn't that be awesome? And if you can do something, you certainly don't have to give me any personal information. Some people have, that's fine, but you do not have to subscribe. You can subscribe with a little code, okay? The Ken for 10, the $10 a month, $2.50 a week, 34.3 cents per day, just to help Ken's kids. Those would be our 2 sons. That would be our money. It's not a nonprofit. Ken's kids they're just my wife and I's kids. 34 cents a day. But what I'd like you to do, tell me what state you're from. Sometimes people forget to do that. So when you subscribe or whatever, if you can post Alaska, Indiana, whatever, that would be great. Because I have a big map and I'm trying to keep track. And I'm pretty good at keeping track of my 13 listeners so far. Anyway, thanks. Have a great remainder of the weekend, and I will see you tomorrow, Monday, for the Ken Matthews Report.